Hi everyone, I'm Megan, and this is Beguiled by Books, a community of book lovers and word nerds. Today I'm sharing my March 2025 reading wrap up. Let's get started. Before we jump into the March 2025 reading wrap up, quick reminder that you can sign up for the waitlist in the description or the pinned comment below for my upcoming course, The Growth Library, a book-based blueprint to wisdom and well-being. This is going to be an amazing course where I take 12 science-heavy nonfiction books, distill them down to the very essence of their being, and give you the actionable insights so you can shortcut your way to success in a short amount of time. Super excited to see you over there, so go sign up now. Let's talk about the March 2025 reading wrap up. This month was a little crazy for me. I was traveling a lot. I'm traveling even more in April, so good luck to me. We'll see how that goes. But I managed to read 7 books in March, which was a little bit more than I expected, so I was pretty pumped about that. I started March with the book Faith Breaker by Hannah Kaner. Now, this is the third book in the Fallen Gods trilogy, and it wraps up the whole series. And I loved God Killer, the first book. The second book, Sunbringer, didn't really do it for me. I understand why sometimes those second books are stepping stone books. They're important for the whole series, but as a book on its own, it's a little difficult. So I was really expecting a lot from Faithbreaker to bring me back into the world and really help wrap things up for me. Faithbreaker did not deliver, unfortunately. Maybe my expectations were too high, and that's on me. Totally get that. Faithbreaker was a bit predictable. I wanted more, I wanted more stuff. It was too short of a book. I loved God Killer because it was a short fantasy book, but by the time we got to the third, I wanted more. I wanted more wrapping up. I wanted more resolution. I wanted more drama. I wanted more gasp moments, and I didn't really get any of that. It was just kind of plodding along, going, yep, 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 okay. And then we were done. Um, so yeah, a little sad about how Faithbreaker did for me. But I don't want to discourage anyone from reading Faithbreaker or any of the books in the Fallen Gods trilogy. So drop a comment, let me know. What do you think? Am I off base? Am I absolutely crazy? I'm open to hearing that. I read 2 books by Danny Kane in March. The first one is How to Resist Amazon and Why, and the second one is How to Protect Bookstores and Why. I picked these up at my local bookstore, and ironically, both are on sale on Amazon, which I just find wildly entertaining. And these books really dive into the behemoth that is Amazon. And yes, there is definitely a kind of confirmation bias lens. Those folks who want to support small, shop local, do things like that are naturally going to gravitate towards this book, and for good reason. Amazon is maybe a little too easy, a little too prevalent. But as Amazon grows and as their tentacles get more involved in day-to-day life and day-to-day business, we're starting to see some of those bigger repercussions for businesses and small businesses, especially that Danny Kane does a good job outlining. It's not just about bookstores. It's not just about the small businesses. It's about counterfeit. It's about copyright infringement. It's about stealing art from small businesses and then putting those small businesses out of business through big mechanisms. We know Amazon doesn't actually make money with Amazon retail. They make it through AWS and through their other offshoots of the company. So it's a really interesting book. I pay for Amazon Prime. I've paid for Amazon Prime for 20 years. I'm involved in the system, believe me, but it's a really good insight into what's going on behind the scenes that we often don't think about. And it's also a good reminder that being able to shop small and shop local and maybe pay higher prices for things is a position of privilege. And not everyone can take the stance of wanting to boycott Amazon or even reduce and resist their dependence on Amazon and other large companies like Walmart. They are serving a need, they are serving a population. So keep that in mind when reading these books, that it can't always be, high and mighty and resist Amazon and boycott those big companies. There are a lot of reasons why people can't do that. And it's very interesting to start unpacking that. After the Danny Kane books, I read Killers of a Certain Age. This was such a fun book. I pulled it right off of this pile very randomly. I think it was the first one on top, and I just wanted a book to read. And this turned out to be so delightful. This would fall into the mystery or thriller space, I think, but it was not a whodunit mystery, and y'all know I don't like those. But this one was just a fun insight into four women who are retired assassins, and they're on their retirement cruise after 40 years working for a unaffiliated company taking out bad people. When they find out on the cruise that they have been made targets of their former employer, they have to band together and figure out what to do about this new development. And it's just a fun story. These women are in their 60s, and I love it because they complain about the joints and the pains and the getting older. They complain about their changing bodies and address what it's like to be a real woman without kind of the hilarity that is often portrayed as being an older woman. It was a great book. I really loved it. It was cheeky, it was fun, it was light, but it had a serious and wholesome side to it that I just loved. This was such a fun book, and I hope everyone reads it. I read The Briar Book of the Dead, and this was a very quiet book. I'm not sure what I was expecting when I bought it or when I picked it up to read, but it wasn't this. And I mean that in a good way. The Briar Book of the Dead is a quiet novel, but very compelling. I kept turning the pages. There's not a lot of big action, like lights and explosions moments, because it takes place in a rural village, probably somewhere in a historical fantasy world. And it is the dichotomy of witchcraft and modern day religion, probably something like a Catholicism or an Anglican church type thing, but it wasn't specifically named, but that's what I picture in my head. Addressing that balance in this rural village that depends both on the church as well as on the witches who live within the community. It was a really interesting look at family, at religion, at faith, at community. I really loved this book, and I think it's wildly underrated, so I hope more people read it. So go out and put it on your TBR right now. One of my favorite nonfiction authors, Adam Grant, recommended a book called Ping that I recently read. Ping is all about virtual communication. As a remote worker and someone who's been a remote worker for a very long time, I'm always interested in improving communication because it's something that is a part of my daily life, whether it's texting my partner from across the house or texting my parents who live down the street or communicating with my boss who lives 1,500 miles away or clients all around the world. It doesn't matter, but it's important to know the right tools to use at the right time. So Ping really dives into things like the difference between texting and email, the difference between video communication and picking up the phone and making a phone call, and the appropriate times to use those, as well as in-person dialogue, just actually getting in front of another human being, which is wild to me as someone who sits in my little office and does my little remote thing all the time. So it's a really good book, and I really liked how there were no bad tools or good tools. There were no bad ways of using communication or good ways of using communication. It's really understanding and adapting to the context around you. And y'all know I love context. So this was a great book if you are a remote worker, if you are someone who is connecting with others virtually like this, like YouTube or social media, really helpful to know the best way to accomplish what you're trying to while also serve the other person you're communicating with. At the end of March, I asked my hubby to pick out a book for me to read. I just said, pick from this pile, and he grabbed the book Mortal Follies. And I loved this book. I traveled with it while we went on our vacation at the end of March, beginning of April, and this was just a delightful book. I had no idea what to expect when I read this book, which is a common theme, I guess, right now. I had no idea what to expect, but the book is essentially narrated by Puck, the character from A Midsummer Night's Dream by William Shakespeare. A Midsummer Night's Dream happens to be one of my all-time favorite William Shakespeare plays, and Puck is my favorite character from that play. I love it. I love Stanley Tucci's characterization of it from the movie, and just I just geeked out so hard when I read this book. And it's a lovely little sapphic romance that takes place in 1814. So think Bridgerton meets sapphic romance meets William Shakespeare. 5 out of 5. I don't love reading books, but this book warmed my heart, and it's just a delightful, lighthearted, low stakes book. Highly recommend it. What books did you read in March that you absolutely loved? What books should I add to my TBR? I'm always interested to know, so please drop a comment below and share. If you liked this video or found a book that you want to read, please give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and don't forget to sign up to be on the waitlist for the Growth Library, my upcoming course later this year. I hope you found something useful from this video, and I appreciate your time. I hope you have a wonderful day.